Hello! Sorry about that. Hello, YouTubers. Welcome back to Archman66. I am Mark, your host, your entertainment, and I'm definitely cheaper than the BBC. La la la, you know what I mean. So, what we're going to be talking about today, because there is no pickups. I couldn't get any gaming pickups whatsoever. Plenty of games out there, but I've already got them. So I couldn't get anything. So what we're talking about today, I thought we'd talk about England's first motorway. Tell you a little bit of history about it. England's first motorway turned 60 with a major technology upgrade. exactly 60 years ago today, 5th of December 1958, 2,300 drivers drove along a new road for the first time straight into the history books. So there you go. So we're talking about the M1 motorway. England's first motorway. The 8-mile section now. So that's what we're talking about. And the 8-mile section they were driving on was the Preston Bypass, the very first motorway in Britain, which is now part of the M6. It had just 2 lanes in each direction, no safety barrier in the central reservation, and no electronic signs or other technology. Today, hundreds of thousands of drivers travel more than 20 million miles on the M6 every day, accounting for 1 in 8 of all motorways journeys. They are now the cusp of major technology transformation which will significantly improve journeys. On the M6 is the latest stage of the motorways evolution. Highways England is now planning to complete upgrades of the M6 by spring 2022 to add extra lanes, better technology to 60 miles of the motorway between Coventry and Wigan. One driver, Chris Lay, 68, from Warrington and Vice President of the Lancashire Automobile Club, who remembers being driven the Preston Bypass as an 8-year-old by his older brother shortly after it opened, welcomed the new move. It's been interesting to see how the motorway have changed over the years, and I think the smart motorways are the only real answer to dealing with the amount of traffic we now have on motorways. Consistent speed instead of constantly accelerating and braking. I don't agree with that myself. I don't agree with these smart motorways. There's no out shoulder, nowhere to pull in on safety, and there has been a lot of accidents. First upgrade between the Crewe and Knutsford in Cheshire is due to be finished by spring next year, and contractors are currently completing installation of 258 electronic signs, 104 traffic sensors and 70 CCTV cameras along the 20-mile route. The 4 upgrades, with around 9 million or so, involve converting the arch shoulder to be permanent extra lane to increase capacity by a third. I think that's all wrong. They haven't planned this at all. Andrew Jinks, Smart Motorway Director of Highways England, said the M6 provided a major economic boost to the country when it first opened 60 years ago, and it still provides a vital link between London and Scotland through the West Midlands and North West. Hundreds of thousands of drivers now use the motorway every day to go to work, meet friends, family for long distance deliveries, and smart motorway upgrades will ensure the M6 is fit for the future. Our motorways have changed massively over the past 6 decades. A smart motorway could be just a glimpse of the technology transformation still to come in 60 years' time. Driverless vehicles could be a commonplace as car and radio. The amount of traffic using England's motorways has increased by almost 2/3 the past 25 years, including more than double the number of vans and next day deliveries become a part of everyday life. England's motorways now cover nearly 1,800 miles, and the Preston Bypass is almost unsuccessfully following a major upgrade to four motorways in the 90s, which replaced all the original bridges. Looking back at the motorway history, Lancashire automobile club Chris Lee said, "We lived in Penwortham at the time, and I remember the excitement and driving on the motorway for the first time. There was no speed limit then, and my brother managed a top speed of 100 miles an hour downhill towards Sandler in my father's Riley 1.5. Hair-raising experience, to say the least." People forget just how bad traffic was in the 50s and 60s. Before motorways, cars would be beeping their horns outside my home on Leyland Road at 1 o'clock in the morning. Traffic jams during bank holidays on their way back from Blackpool illumination. It was a real game changer when the Preston Bypass opened, but it took a while for people to get used to it. Remember seeing one family stopping to have a picnic on the actual. The new smart motorway technology will allow variable speed limits to be automatically set on overhead signs to improve the following traffic, preventing stop-start conditions. Tailbacks caused by sudden braking technology will also be used to detect queuing traffic, breakdowns and collisions. They happen so Highway England traffic officers and the emergency services can respond quickly to incidents. Well, if you want to bed in with all that money with your smart motorway, because I know our stretch of the M1, and that is Britain, that is England's first motorway, the M1. It was built in 1958. I knew it was built before I was born. It was built in 1958, and the oldest part of it is that Preston Bypass, which forms a part of the M6 now. I mean, if you go to it does branch off onto the M6 and things like that. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You know what I mean? So there you go. So England's first motorway turned 60. And I thought that was a good thing to do. It do says it West Midlands, doesn't it? Here? Well, I'll tell you exactly where it covers. Then one motorway connects to London to Leeds, where it joins the A1M near Aberford to connect to Newcastle. It was the first interurban motorway to be completed in the UK. The first motorway in the country was the Preston Bypass, which later became a part of the M6. So there you go. And opened in 1958, completed in 1990. Yeah. So this is where, the country, Greater London, Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Northamptonshire, Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire and West Yorkshire and West Yorkshire. And they're so you can go from West Yorkshire all the way down to Greater London, and it's as simple as that. 193 miles along was constructed in 4 phases. Most of the motorway was opened between 1959 and 1968. The southern end extended in 1976, and the northern end was extended in 1999, which it was. They completely extended it now. It's basically finished now, is that? Yeah, it's all basically finished. But the M1 did start. They started doing it. They had plans before the Second World War for a motorway network in the United Kingdom. Lord Montagu formed a company to build motorway like road from London to Birmingham in 19, but it was further 26 years before Special Roads Act 1949 was passed, which followed the construction roads a limited specific classification, and the 1950s the country's first motorways were given government go-ahead. The first section of the motorway was the Preston Bypass, Lancashire, new part of the M6 motorway, which opened in 1958. The M1 was Britain's first full-length motorway, opened in 1959, and the early M1 had no speed limit, crash barriers or lighting, had a soft outshell rather than the hard outshoulder. The section of the motorway between Junction 5 Watford and Junction 18 Crickle Rugby opened on the 2nd of November 1950, together with the motorways two spurs. The M10, former Junction 7 to south of St Albans, originally connected to the A1 and the M45 from Junction 17 to the A45. Coventry parts of the Hertfordshire section was built using steamrollers, which was true. Yeah, there were definitely steamrollers. The M1 was officially integrated from Slip End, close to Luton, celebrated a large concrete slab on the bridge next to the village with in construction London and Yorkshire Motorway. This slab was sealed by the Right Honourable Harold Watkinson, MP, Minister of Transport. Inauguration day, 24th of March 1958. It was relocated during widening works 2007 to 2008. The eastern side of the Junction 10 section of this section of the M1 broadly follows the route of the A5 northwest. It started at the Watford Bypass. A41, which runs south-east to meet the A1 at Apex Corner, ended on the A5 at Crick. The M10 spur motorway connected to the M1 to the North Orbital Road, A405 to A414, process crossover of the M25, where it A5183 and 2 miles to the east via the A414, the A6, which subsequently became part of the M25. Yeah, it did. Although the whole of the first section opened in 1950, it was built in two parts, with the northern part, junctions 10 to 18, being built by John Lane, and the southern part of the St Albans Bypass being built by Tarmac Construction. Yeah. Rugby to Leeds. 1965 to 1968, the construction of the motorway from the Junction 18 towards Yorkshire was carried out as a series of extensions between 1965 and 1968. Varying from the A5 and the motorway takes more northerly route through the East Midlands and via Leicester, Loughborough, Nottingham to Sheffield, where the M18 splits from the M1 at Junction 32 to head to Doncaster, which is true. Yep, very true. Originally the M1 was planned to end at Doncaster, but it was decided to make what was going to be the Leeds and Sheffield spur into the primary route, with 11-mile section at the A1M south of Doncaster, given a separate motorway number M18. From Junction 32, motorway passes Sheffield, Rotherham, Barnsley, Wakeby, reaching the original end of the motorway at the original Junction 44. The east of Leeds, there was plans to route the M1 from just south of Junction 42, where it interchanges with the M62 round the west of Leeds. Dishforth, the chosen route, passes to the east, leads with the M62 and the M61, and the M1 forms a ring motorway around south of Leeds. Leeds Southern, which it does. 1972 extension of the M1 was opened in central Leeds at the Leeds South Eastern Motorway, where it met the Leeds South Western Motorway. M62 coming north east from the M62 at junction. Lighting. In July 9th, UK Minister of Transport, Industry, John Peyton announced the 86 miles of UK motorway, particularly prone to fog, would benefit from lightening project what should be completed by 1970. Sections illuminated included the M1, 3 and 14 and between junctions 16 and 24. August 2011, the Highways Agency announced, despite being converted to a smart motorway status, the lights will be switched off on stretches of the motorway between junctions 10 and 15 Northampton. So you got Luton, so junctions 10 Luton and 15 in Northampton without affecting road users' safety. Motorway junctions in the approaches sections of the M1 either side of the junction 11 North 11 would have lighting columns replaced and remain its all lighting columns from junctions 10 to 14 were removed completely apart from some on the slip roads. So now they're cutting back out lighting. So, safety barriers increasing interest in secondary safety was evident. An announcement in March 9 that would begin shortly erecting Tennyson-tensioned safety barriers along central reservation of 34-mile section of the M1 between Kegworth and Bradborough junction 24 and Bradborough junction 30 leads to Uckmore. So there you go. There's a hell of a lot of history. So there you go. So there's the motorway history for you. So yeah, first major motorway, M1 motorway in England. I didn't say UK, I just said England, didn't I? So in England, that's it. The M1. It's the first one. And it does help. It really does. I wish they stopped mucking about with it though. I really do. It's making it a bit more dangerous than that, I think. But there you go. So that's the history. And there's my little thoughts on it. So I hope you've liked this video. I know there's no pickups, but couldn't be helped. I couldn't get them. There's nothing out there whatsoever to pick up. So I thought I'd do this instead. And I thought you liked it. If you have liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you're new. It is free to subscribe, so you might as well subscribe. Just subscribe and come back from time to time to make sure that you still subscribe to me. Because if you're not, YouTube has an habit of unsubscribing, mystery unsubscribing people out there. And please share the video to your family and friends and other social media like Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And also comment below within this content of the video. I will answer. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.